Shocking true story. Grandma asked for 50, but my son-in-law said, "Get a job, lazy old woman." The argument erupted like fireworks on the 4th of July. There, in the cramped living room where dusty furniture clashed with the brand-new 70-inch TV, Grandma's frail hands trembled as she reached for the crumpled $20 bill stuffed beneath a pile of knitting supplies. She looked small, almost fragile, the gray strands of her hair catching the dim light. "I just need $50, that's all," she pleaded, her voice shaky yet filled with an unyielding desperation. The air pulsed with unsaid words, thickening the silence into something tangible. Then came the thunderous roar of her son-in-law, Mike, drowning out the living room chaos. "Get a job, lazy old woman," he barked, his face twisted in disbelief. Everyone in the room froze. Grandma's eyes widened, a mix of shock and hurt washing over her like a cold tide. The subtle shift in the room felt like a weight that pressed against their chests and made it hard to breathe. No one had ever dared to speak to her like that before. The odd thing was, just hours before, the house had been filled with laughter and the smell of warm apple pie. But now, tension crackled in the air like static electricity. Was that really how this family treated their matriarch? Angry whispers filled the space, punctuated by gasps of disbelief. Did he really just say that? Someone questioned, heavy disbelief in their tone. But what Mike didn't know was there was more to Grandma's request than met the eye. The walls seemed to lean in, as if eavesdropping on something monumental. This 50 wasn't just money, it was about pride, desperation, and maybe even something darker that lingered just out of sight. Grandma's knotted fingers clutched the edge of her recliner, a deep furrow appearing on her brow, revealing the weight of secrets long buried. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A chill swept through the room as Grandma's gaze slid to the floor. The argument hung in the air, thickening with unspoken tension. Mike crossed his arms, refusing to back down, while everyone around them held their breath. Would Grandma break? Or was there something hidden beneath the surface, something they weren't prepared to confront? The truth pulsed in the shadows, echoing with a question that lingered just out of reach. What did Grandma truly need that money for? What was she hiding? The silence that followed Mike's harsh words was deafening. Grandma's heart raced as the air thickened, each beat echoing in her ears. She could feel the heat of embarrassment creeping up her face. How had this turned into such chaos? The pitying looks from her daughter, Carol, and her grandchildren pierced through her, making her feel smaller than ever. "Mike, that's enough," Carol finally shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. She stepped forward, wanting to shield her mother from the attack. The tension was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. They were family, weren't they? How could they allow this ugliness to rear its head so brutally? But Mike wasn't done. He leaned forward, the arrogance in his stance evident. "You think this is some kind of handout? That's not how life works, Carol. She needs to pull her weight." He was relentless, the words slicing through the air like a stab to the gut, and Grandma's breathing quickened with each passing second. The room seemed to shrink around Grandma. It was as if the walls were closing in on her, pressing down on her fragile spirit. But with the pressure came a flicker of resolve. The 50 wasn't about laziness, it was about something far more critical that had bubbled beneath the surface. "Mom, what do you need that money for?" Carol pressed, her voice softer now, eyes searching for the truth. Grandma's heart sank anew. This was it. This was the moment that could change everything. Did she dare to spill the hidden fears she had kept tucked away for so long? The whole family leaned in, waiting with bated breath, as if they were standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to fall. Eyes flitted back and forth, and tense whispers buzzed in the air. It was all too much, the pressure had doubled, and Grandma felt it closing in that moment. She took a deep breath. Was this the time to share her secret? The years of shame, the crippling fear of judgment? But the thought of her son-in-law's disdain felt like a heavy weight pulling her under. So much hung in the balance, a silent battle between despair and relief. Because her voice cracked, fear inching into her throat. I need it for the doctor. Gasps erupted. The doctor? Mike scoffed, a sneer curling on his lips. For what? You're just fine. But Grandma couldn't be quiet anymore. I'm not fine. I've been feeling weak, and the doctor says she stopped, choking on her words. Her mind raced to the secret appointments, the diagnoses she'd concealed from everyone to keep the peace. She had wanted to protect them, but now, all she felt was exposed. The revelation hung in the air like a heavy cloud. The shock radiated through the room, voices faded into silence, leaving only the sound of Grandma's shaky breaths. She had never wanted things to go this far, but here they were, teetering on the edge of an emotional cliff. As disbelief morphed into pity, and pity into something else entirely, Grandma realized how deep the rift had grown between her family and the truth. Her heart clenched at the idea of what they would think if they knew the real reason behind her request. This wasn't just about money, it was about life and vulnerability. And amid the chaos, one question remained, echoing through her mind as she gazed at her family. Was she still the matriarch they loved, or had she become a burden, a ghost trapped in her own home? The air was thick with tension, and before anyone could respond, the doorbell rang. Each eye in the room darted to the front door, and the atmosphere shifted radically. Who could that be? Maybe it's just the neighbor. Someone suggested, but the uncertainty buzzed like static, heightening their anticipation. Grandma's chest tightened. The world outside slipped into focus in a way she never wanted. Whatever lay beyond that door felt ominous. Something was about to break in, something that could turn this already tumultuous evening upside down. As Carol moved to answer the door, Grandma could only wonder, would this visitor bring answers or only deeper mysteries? Carol hesitated at the door, hand hovering over the knob. The tension in the room coiled tighter around her as whispers of doubt swirled in the air. An icy shiver ran down Grandma's spine. What if it was someone bearing a message she didn't want to hear? Someone from the doctor's office? Or even worse, a distant relative with their own judgment to cast? Who is it? Mike broke the suffocating silence, his impatience evident. I don't know, Carol answered, her voice trembling. She turned back slightly to look at Grandma, who could only muster a weak nod. The door swung open, and a gust of chilled air swept through the room, sending a shiver down everyone's backs. A stranger stood at the threshold, drenched in shadows as if the fading light of the evening had cloaked them in mystery. I'm looking for Mrs. Williams, the figure said, the voice a low rasp that held an unsettling weight. Grandma's heart dropped. What do you want? She struggled to keep her composure, but the dread seeped through, twisting her stomach into knots. The stranger stepped into the light, revealing a gaunt face, framed with unkempt hair. Tension buzzed in the air as the family sized up the newcomer. Carol stepped toward the door, ready to protect her mother, but the window to her fears widened instead. I have information about you. The words hung ominously. Grandma's breath hitched, and she felt her chest tighten. About me? The stranger nodded slowly, eyes darting around the room as if they were trying to gauge the atmosphere. It's important. We need to talk. Talk? About what? Mike stepped in, his voice dripping with skepticism. You know her? Who sent you? Calm down, Mike, Carol chastised, her voice strained. She turned back to the stranger. What do you know? The figure shifted their gaze to Grandma, their expression unreadable. Your health issues. It's more than you've been telling them. The doctor isn't the only one you need to worry about. Gasps echoed in the small space, the weight of the words pressing heavy as every heart raced. What could this person possibly mean? Grandma's mind reeled as her secret teetered on the brink of collapse. Who sent you? Mike demanded again, his voice rising in volume. You're not just going to barge in here with half-truths. This is our home. Enough. Grandma croaked out, rising from her chair using every ounce of strength she could muster. If you have something to say, then say it. Don't stand there like an intruder. The stranger seemed taken aback by her sudden fierceness. I'm not an intruder. I'm trying to help. Before further words could escape, Grandma locked eyes with the newcomer. Her instincts screamed at her. There was something familiar about this person, something that caught her breath sharply. Help? She echoed, the word hanging uncertainly. Was it help they offered or something far more sinister? Listen carefully. The stranger leaned in closer, voice barely above a whisper. They're coming for you, and you need to be ready. A heavy sigh of disbelief swept through the room. Carol's eyes widened, confusion and fear merging as she looked between her mother and the ominous figure at the door. Who's coming? What are you talking about? But as Grandma opened her mouth to respond, the room around her started to spin. A rush of memories flooded her, faces she hadn't seen in years, voices she dared not recall. The sound of her heart drummed louder, drowning out the chaos of the family's mounting questions, and just as the weight of the truth felt too much to bear, the door slammed shut behind them, a shadow flickering past the glass. Something, or someone, watching. Mom? Carol's voice was edged with panic. What does that mean? We can't just let this go. We need answers. But before Grandma could respond, her phone buzzed ominously, a message lighting up the screen. You're not safe. Trust no one. Grandma felt the world tilt beneath her, pulling her into the depths of fear. Was this the moment everything unraveled? What had she stepped into? The evening had opened a Pandora's box, and now, stepping back wasn't an option. Get inside, she commanded suddenly, realization dawning. Her family needed to know what was really happening, but would she have the courage to reveal it? As darkness settled outside, cloaking their home in shadows, Grandma's heart raced with dread. Would they be able to face what lay ahead, or would the secrets of her past be the very thing that tore them apart, and just who had been watching them all along? The evening was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The air in the room was stifling, a thick blanket of confusion and dread weighing down on Grandma and her family as they shifted uneasily. Carol's heart raced, her instincts compelling her to protect her mother from both the stranger and the dark memories swirling just beneath the surface. What does the message mean? Mike's voice pierced through the suffocating silence, his anger bubbling like a pot ready to boil over. What is going on, Mom? Grandma felt the weight pressing down on her chest. She fought to keep her voice steady, even as the shadows around them deepened. It's complicated. There are things I can't explain right now. Complicated? Carol interjected, her fear rapidly morphing into frustration. This isn't the time for complicated. If someone is threatening us, they're not just threats, the stranger interrupted, their voice steady but serious. It's much worse than that. They've been watching you, all of you. A chilling breeze seemed to slither through the room, causing Grandma to shiver. Watching them? Her stomach lurched. What kind of danger did she bring to her family? Who? Mike pressed, his brows furrowing as he glanced toward the door as if expecting an army to storm in any moment. What do you know? We need to get somewhere safe, the stranger insisted, their voice dropping to almost a whisper. This isn't just a conversation that can stay in this room. It's too dangerous. Carol was the first to react. What do you mean? We can't leave. This is our home. It won't be safe for long, the stranger countered, and in that moment, there was something almost pleading in their gaze. I know your family's secrets, Grandma. The truth about your past, it's coming back, and it's here. Grandma felt her heart thundering in her chest. You have no idea what you're talking about. Nobody knows, maybe not, but I do, the stranger shot back. You're in grave danger. You didn't just get sick, there's a reason behind all this. There is something you've kept hidden, and now what is it? Carol's voice trembled, caught between fear and anger. What are you talking about? There was a moment of silence as the stranger looked between them again, gauging their reactions. You had a life before this one, Mrs. Williams. A life you tried to forget. But secrets, they have a way of surfacing. What are you saying? Mike's frustration morphed into confusion, confusion into apprehension. The stranger drew closer, their voice tense. There was a choice you had to make, and it's come back to haunt you. They know, and they will come for what you owe. What do I owe? Grandma felt like she was unraveling. The room spun again, memories wrestling for dominance in her mind, the faces of friends long forgotten, decisions that haunted her nights. Your past, the stranger replied simply, and then they reached into their pocket, pulling out a faded photograph. They turned it toward Grandma's trembling hands. Do you recognize this? As Grandma's shaking fingers made contact with the photo, a flood of emotion crashed over her. She stumbled back, the revelation hitting her like a tidal wave. No, it can't be. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at the image, people she thought she'd left behind, a past she had buried. Holy hell. Had she really left them? Swiftly, she glanced up, fear gripping her tighter. They're coming for my past? What does that mean for us? The stranger's expression darkened. It means you need to face them. It means we don't have much time. Just then, the lights flickered. Noise erupted outside, the sound of something scraping against the house. Mom! Carol screamed, clutching her phone, eyes wide with panic. What do we do? We have to get out of here. Grandma's breath hitched, her chest tightening as reality crashed down. Shadows crept closer, closing in on them. Grab your things, the stranger urged. We're running out of time. They're already here. As the front door rattled violently, Grandma felt an unfamiliar rush of anger. This was her fight. It was time to confront what she had been running from. With a determined glint in her eye, she faced her family. We're going to uncover the truth. No more hiding, no more secrets. We do this together. But what did that truly mean? As shadows pressed against the house, what horrors were waiting outside? The truth lay just beyond their grasp, and every heartbeat echoed a desperate question. Would facing the past save them or engulf them all? The front door shuddered with a powerful impact, rattling the frames of their family pictures as if the house itself were protesting the storm at their threshold. Carol gasped, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst from her chest. Mike, with fists clenched, instinctively moved in front of their mother like a human shield. Get behind me! He yelled, his voice strained with tension. Grandma felt a jolt of fire course through her veins, igniting a fierce determination. No! We stick together! She shouted, battling the urge to cower. Whatever was out there, she wouldn't show weakness, she couldn't let fear dictate their fate. Please, we don't have much time. The stranger urged, panic creeping into their voice. They're here for what you owe, and they won't hold back. The shadows outside surged like a dark tide, and the noise intensified, the scratching of something cruel and relentless against the wooden door. Grandma took a steadying breath. She had to think, what would her past demand of her now? Mom, Carol whispered, anxiety lacing her words, what do you want us to do? I want you to be ready, Grandma replied, her voice trembling but resolute. She could feel the burdens of her secret past pressing down on her shoulders. Admitting their reality, the secrets, the danger means she had to embrace what lay ahead. Grabbing her bag from the table, she quickly searched through the chaos of her thoughts. Images churned from memories once buried, a face she had hoped never to see again, a name whispered on the wind, Lucas. She could almost feel the cool air of that fateful day wrapping around her heart, squeezing. We need to confront them, she said, surprising herself with the certainty of her words. We have to know what they want. Are you out of your mind? Mike exclaimed, blinking at her, frantically shaking his head. You can't just face whoever that is. You don't have a clue what you're dealing with. I do, the stranger interjected sharply, their eyes scanning the gloom beyond the windows, fear etched on their features. And neither do you. But refusing to stand your ground won't save you. They already know you're here. The door rattled again, and Carol took a step back, the fear pulsing through the room like a living thing. "Mom!" she cried, clutching the edges of her jacket. "What if it's them? What if they enough?" Grandma snapped, frustration bubbling to the surface. This wasn't just about her, they were all in this together now. "This is our only option. I want to let you be taken without a fight." Suddenly, a massive shadow loomed through the frosted glass of the door, moving with an unnatural grace, cold eyes glimmering like shards of glass. The stranger's grip tightened on Grandma's arm. "We should leave. Now." "No." Grandma insisted, her voice stronger than she felt. She stepped toward the door, her body vibrating with the memories of a life she thought was gone forever. "If they want to confront me, I'll accept it. I won't allow my past to dictate my present any longer." As she reached for the doorknob, the temperature in the room plummeted, and with a sudden crash, the door burst open, splintering against the wall. Black shapes surged into the room, shifting like smoke, and from that whirlwind emerged the figure she dreaded most. "Grandma," the stranger whispered, their eyes wide with terror. "Don't." Her heart froze. It was Lucas, standing there, eyes glinting with an otherworldly light. "You thought you could escape me? You owe me your life, and I'm here to collect." A scream built in Grandma's throat. What had she done? It was happening, the confrontation, the reckoning she'd tried so hard to flee. As Lucas took a step closer, shadows merged around him, dark promises whispering through the air. With a swift intake of breath, Grandma prepared herself to face the truth she had buried for so long. Could she reclaim her past, or would it consume her whole? A shattering realization hit her as she prepared to speak. Could her family's future rest on the secrets of her history? "Are you ready?" Lucas growled, a malevolent smile spreading across his face as he reached out, the shadows swirling at his feet. In that suspended moment, Grandma's resolve hardened. "Not just me," she said, standing firm with her family behind her. "You'll face us all." But as the shadows tightened around them, despair lingered in the air. What would this confrontation cost them? What hidden truths lay buried beneath the surface, waiting to be unveiled? The answer loomed with dark intensity, and Grandma braced herself for the chaos that was sure to erupt. Her past had returned, and it was hungry. The room changed instantly, the air thick with tension and dread. Once filled with the warmth of family memories, it now felt like a battleground. Shadows coiled around Lucas like serpents, their whispers alive with ancient curses. Grandma's heart raced, every instinct told her to run. But she couldn't. Not now. "What's the cost, Lucas?" she asked, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. The walls seemed to close in as the shadows pulsed, alive and eager, feeding off the energy of the confrontation. Lucas chuckled, dark and low, a sound that twisted her insides. "You really don't remember, do you? Promises made in blood. Sacrifices for freedom." He waved a hand, and the shadows writhed, a storm of darkness circling them. "You've led them right to you. Stop this." Mike shouted, pushing himself in front of Grandma and Carol. "You can't take her. We want to let you." "Bravery is foolhardy, boy," Lucas sneered, his eyes narrowing like a predator sizing up prey. "Did your mother teach you nothing about the past?" "Mike, no." Grandma cried, desperation bubbling up in her throat. The room flickered in and out of focus, like a broken television set. The very air crackled with energy, as if the house itself sensed the danger that had invaded it. Carol grabbed Mike's arm, inhaling sharply. "You can't fight him. We don't know what he's capable of." "Oh, he knows," Lucas said, his voice dripping with disdain. "There's nothing I wouldn't do to reclaim what's mine." He stepped closer, the darkness trailing him like a cloak. "You, Grandma, were meant to pay the price for your betrayal." Grandma felt her stomach twist into knots. Memories rushed through her mind, curses and oaths, the taste of fear, the sound of breaking promises. "I thought you were gone," she whispered, not just to Lucas, but to the dark part of herself she had hidden for decades. The stranger, who had been so silent, stepped forward. Lucas, they said, voice shaking. You need to reconsider. She's not the enemy. The death's silence. Lucas roared, his voice echoing off the walls. She's the only one who stands in my way. Why now? Grandma pressed, her chest heavy with unresolved anger. Why come back after all these years? Because my hold on this world grows weaker. But your light is strong. You owe me, and I will collect. Don't think I want to use your family to get what I want. His smile widened, dark and sinister. The truth crashed down on Grandma like a tidal wave. The very decision she had made to confront her past had unwittingly ensnared her family in a web of danger. No. She yelled, mounting a defiance she didn't think she could muster. Not my family. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of twisted voices, as Lucas took one more step forward, reaching out with long, skeletal fingers. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, an echo of Grandma's own trembling resolve. Mike gripped Carol tightly, both bracing for whatever horror Lucas was intent on unleashing. Then Grandma did something instinctual. She raised her hands, pulling in every ounce of energy she could muster, channeling it toward Lucas. If anyone is owed anything, it's me. I'm reclaiming my power. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as light sparked from her hands. The air grew electric. Lucas's expression morphed from confidence to surprise. You've awakened something, old woman. You think this is all about you? A pulse of energy surged through the room, the shadows warping, twisted by Grandma's resolve. The bonds keeping her past at bay were unraveling. She wouldn't back down. Not now, not ever, but just as it felt like she was gaining the upper hand, Lucas laughed, a terrible sound echoing into the night. You're playing checkers while I'm playing chess, Grandma. The real game is just beginning. In that moment, the temperature dropped even further, freezing them all in place. The air turned heavy, choking the room with impending doom. What does that mean? Carol whispered as she took a step backward, her fear palpable. Lucas's grin stretched impossibly wide. You'll find out sooner than you think. Every secret has its price, and the truth will cost you more than you can imagine. As his darkness expanded, swallowing all the light, Grandma felt a chilling fear grip her. How far would it go? What price would they pay? They were left with one desperate question. Could they stop him before it was too late, before their lives were controlled by the shadows? The shadows clawed at the edges of the room, their whispers rising to a shrill crescendo as Grandma fought to hold onto the light that she had summoned. She could feel the tendrils of darkness tugging at her, seeking to pull her back into the void of memories she'd tried so hard to bury. Struggling against the tide, she tightened her fists, her heart pounding like a war drum. Stay close. She shouted to Mike and Carol, urgency driving her voice. She wasn't just fighting for her own life, this was for them. Every breath they took in that moment felt like an echo of her resolve. Lucas watched, his amusement transforming into something more dangerous. Foolish, he hissed, weaving through the darkness like a dancer in a macabre play. You can't protect them. They'll be the first to pay the price for your defiance. Carol swallowed hard, tears forming in her eyes. We want to let you take her. She was terrified. The fear coursed through the air, almost palpable, yet there was a flicker of fire igniting within her, too. She gripped Mike's hand tightly, a silent vow coursing between them. They would fight. Just think, Lucas continued, his voice dropping to a molten whisper, it could all be over with a single choice. Sacrifice one for the others. Imagine how easy it would be. He danced closer, his face emerging from shadow with an unsettling brightness, eyes glittering like shards of glass. Grandma's blood ran cold. She recognized the tactic, the age-old manipulation that echoed through generations. No! She screamed, summoning every ounce of strength. You will not turn my family against each other. Lucas smirked, his dark aura pulsating as he raised a hand to quell Grandma's light. But they're already divided. Each of them has a fear waiting to be unsealed. All I need is a single crack in your unity. Suddenly, the air around them pulsed. The shadows surged forward, wild and chaotic. Grandma could feel their icy breath on her skin, the choking darkness trying to smother her light. She had to act quickly. With a mighty effort, she thrust her hands out, projecting all the warmth she could muster. "We are stronger together," she cried, channeling her love for her family into a blinding beam of light. The room erupted with energy, crackling like a storm about to break, but Lucas wasn't backing down. His laughter ricocheted off the walls, a cruel sound that made her shiver. "You think mere light can dispel me? I am a shadow that transcends your quaint notions of love and family." The shadows roared in fury, caught in the tug of war between light and dark. Grandma felt the battle strain her, fatigue pulling at her limbs. "Stay strong," she urged, even as her knees threatened to buckle beneath her. "What if he's right?" Mike said suddenly, his voice low and filled with uncertainty as he wrestled with the shadows of his own fears. "What if we can't win?" "Don't you dare think like that," Grandma snapped, her heart tightening. The fractures appearing in Mike's resolve scared her more than the monsters lurking in the darkness. "Look at Carol. Look at us. We must believe. We must stand together." With a renewed clarity, Carol shouted, "We are family. We face this together." The bond of their voices intertwined, igniting new warmth, and suddenly the oppressive weight of darkness began to lessen. Lucas, sensing the shift, hissed in frustration. "You think this is over? My pawns are everywhere, and the real battle has only just begun." As he retreated into the shadows, the air crackled and throbbed, leaving a sudden stillness in its wake. Grandma held her breath, eyes scanning the darkness. What did he mean by pawns? Where were they lurking, and how would they strike? In that silence, the weight of uncertainty hung heavier than ever, a harbinger of fears yet to be realized. But something deep inside Grandma surged. Her family was still there. They were still fighting, they had to be prepared for what came next. The light may flicker, but as long as they stood together, it wouldn't go out. But how long could they hold on? What other enemies lay waiting in the wings, eager to exploit every crack in their fragile unity? The shadows might be retreating now, but the stakes were higher than ever. Grandma's heart raced again, realizing they were only at the beginning of a much darker game. What would they summon next? And would they be ready? The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint echo of Lucas's last words lingering like a storm cloud overhead. Grandma felt the weight of dread pooling in her stomach, a knot of fear tightening with each breath. The shadows may have retreated momentarily, but the threat wasn't gone. It loomed like a coiled snake ready to strike. "Listen," she said, trying to recapture the strength that surged through her moments ago. "We need to stay vigilant. Lucas has something in mind, and we can't let our guard down." Mike nodded, though his brow was still furrowed with doubt. "What if he sends those pawns?" His voice trembled slightly, betraying his unease. "What if they can separate us?" Carol tightened her grip on his hand, not just in solidarity, but to ground her own shaking nerves. "Whatever he throws at us, we face it together," she said firmly, even as a flicker of fear danced across her eyes. Grandma scanned the room, looking for any sign of the encroaching danger. The atmosphere felt thicker, almost electric, as if the air itself was charged with a volatile energy. Then came a knock. The sound shattered their brief moment of unity, reverberating through the stillness like a thunderclap. The three of them froze, glancing at one another. Who could that be? Mike asked skeptically, his eyes darting toward the door as if expecting the shadows to come spilling in from beyond. Grandma approached cautiously, heart racing. "We can't assume it's safe," she warned. "It might be one of his tricks, one of his pawns." But curiosity tinged with dread pulled her closer to the door. She placed a shaking hand on the cold metal knob, turning it slowly. The door creaked open, revealing an unexpected sight: that a woman stood there, cloaked in darkness. Her features were obscured, but her presence was heavy, an ominous weight in the air. "I'm here to help," she said, her voice airy yet commanding. Grandma's instincts screamed warning. "Help or harm? Who sent you?" Before the woman could answer, shadows flickered at the edges of her form, twisting and writhing like live things. Step back. Grandma shouted, but there was a strange magnetism to the woman that held them all in place, rooted by uncertainty. You have a choice, the woman beckoned. Join me, and you can gain power. We can defeat Lucas, but you must weaken your bonds of love and trust. Sacrifices will be required. The implications of her words began to spiral around Grandma's mind. Power at such a cost. Could they really dismantle their family ties for strength in this godforsaken fight? Carol stepped forward defiantly, her eyes blazing with determination. We won't sacrifice each other. Family means everything. Does it? The woman shot back, her voice sharp as a knife. What happens when you face your worst fears? When you come face to face with betrayal and loss? A dark silence enveloped the room once more, pressing against them until Grandma felt her heart constrict. Suddenly, images flashed through her mind, each one a terrifying possibility. Mike's expression hardened. You're no better than Lucas. You're trying to manipulate us. The woman's eyes narrowed, and then she laughed, a sound like broken glass. You think you know pain? Watch closely. The real test is about to begin. With that, she turned and melted back into a pool of shadows, leaving flickering, dark laughter echoing in her wake. Grandma's stomach churned. What did she mean? The real test? Whatever it is, Mike said, determination mixing with fear, we'll face it together, right? They huddled closer, the warmth of their connection offering a flicker of comfort against the gnawing dread in the pit of their stomachs. But as the shadows reformed in the room, swirling ominously, Grandma knew the worst was yet to come. They had faced dark forces already, but this time, the stakes felt different. She felt a chill run down her spine as a voice floated through the air, echoing with malevolence. You think you can stand? Let us see how strong your bonds really are. There was no getting around it. The battle was only just beginning, and the true nature of their unity was about to be tested in ways none of them had prepared for. Would they stand firm against the storm? Or would that storm unravel everything they held dear? The room pulsed with tension as the shadows danced like hungry wolves, circling closer, hungry for fear, eager to sow discord. Grandma's heart raced. Could it already be too late? Stand together. Carol shouted, her voice fierce, piercing the suffocating silence. But even as she spoke, doubt crept into Grandma's mind like smoke, curling and wrapping around her thoughts. What if the very love they cherished could be their undoing? Look! Mike pointed, his voice rising in panic. Faint silhouettes began to push through the darkness, indistinct shapes morphing into distorted figures of the past faces they recognized, but altered somehow. They looked like family, yet felt wrong, twisted. Seeing her late husband among them, a hollow shell of the man she loved, made Grandma's breath hitch. His smile was warped, eyes hollowed out. Help us, Grandma, he crooned, the words laced with a sadness that struck like a dagger. Don't you remember how we faced everything together? Tears pricked her eyes. You're not real. Am I not? He replied, the shadows surrounding him thickening as they pulsated with a life of their own. What if I told you that I'm just a reflection of your deepest fears? You want to save your family, but what will you sacrifice to do it? Each word felt like a punch to the gut. Grandma looked at Mike and Carol, their faces locked in fear. We're not afraid, Mike said, though his voice shook. Then let us see. The shadowy figures took a step forward, their forms sharpening, morphing into aspects of themselves that each one feared most. Mike saw his father, cloaked in disappointment. Carol faced her younger self, riddled with mistakes, a life unlived. Stop it. Carol cried out, covering her face with shaking hands. This isn't real. You're just playing tricks. But the shadows only laughed, deep and echoing, reverberating off the walls of solid walls as if mocking them. Grandma could feel the despair choking inside her, pulling her down. Is your love strong enough to withstand this? The woman's voice slithered back through the air. Are you willing to turn on one another when faced with the truth? Suddenly, a chilling thought crashed over Grandma like ice water. We can't give in. she shouted, trying to rally her family. We are stronger than this. But doubt shadowed her heart. Was she truly strong enough to hold them? Before she could voice her fears, the shadows lunged toward them, swirling in a furious vortex. Grandma's mind reeled as visions flickered and flashed: betrayal, loss, each painful memory drawn from the depths they buried. Love is a weakness, the specters taunted, their grotesque features shifting like they're made of smoke. And fear is the truth. But in that moment, Grandma heard a whisper, faint as a breeze but filled with undeniable strength: together. It was Carol's voice, strong and unwavering, just like their bond. Without thinking, she reached for Mike's hand, then took hold of Carol's. Together. They echoed, a unified front against the shadows that loomed, a light pushing against the darkness. But just as they began to feel their strength growing, a chilling laugh echoed around them, overpowering. You think this will save you? I will expose the cracks within your family. Let us peel back the layers. The shadows surged forward. Grandma braced for impact, terror clawing at her insides, the reality of their test wrapping tighter around them. Hold on. She cried, the darkness inches from engulfing them whole, threatening to tear apart everything they held dear. As everything blurred into chaos, Grandma clutched her family tighter, her heart racing. What had started as shadows had morphed into something far more dangerous. Would their bond withstand this final onslaught, or would the dark forces unleash the very shadows of their own fears, tearing them apart in the process? Together. They shouted again, but the shadows howled in response, ready to unleash a new taunt, a deeper torment. In that swirling chaos, Grandma wondered what unseen sacrifices would lie ahead. Would love be enough, or would they each face their greatest horror alone? The shadows pressed in, a suffocating tide, swirling to consume them. Grandma tightened her grip on Mike and Carol, their hands clasped so tightly they could feel the heat of determination transfer from one to the next. We're not backing down, she declared, her heart pounding like a battle drum echoing in the storm of darkness around them. Together. Carol echoed, her voice steady, emboldened by the shared strength of their hands. But the shadows roared, mocking their resolve with a wave of cold that sent shivers cascading down their spines. You think unity will save you? The specters taunted, their voices layered and distorted, mingling like 1,000 whispered fears. Let us see what happens when the storm of your chaos brews. Are you ready for the ultimate test? As they pressed against the swirl of darkness, the pierce of blinding light erupted from Grandma's hands. Desperation surged through her, igniting memories of laughter filled with love, a life woven with warmth. This energy pulsed to the surface, and with it came her voice, strong and full of authority. Our love is stronger than your lies. Yet the shadows recoiled, hissing in agony. But what about the hidden fractures? The cracks you've long ignored? The words slithered into their minds, orchestrating a vision of their deepest fears, frictions from the past, hurtful words tearing through the family bonds, and incidents long buried but never forgotten. The air thickened with the weight of regret as the shadows wrangled free the emotions that threatened their unity. No. Mike's voice shattered the moment, strong and defiant. He stepped forward, shielding Grandma and Carol with the fierceness of a lion. You will not make us turn against each other. His boldness created a ripple in the darkness, a flicker of light bursting forth from the unity of their hearts. Grandma watched as Carol stepped alongside Mike, her head held high. They stood as one, defiance shining in their eyes. Fear cannot extinguish love. Carol shouted, her determination igniting the glow even brighter, strands of light weaving among them like a protective aura. Just as Grandma felt an inkling of hope blossom, the shadows unleashed their final assault. You can't escape your past. They closed in, transforming into ghastly visages of grief and doubt that floated like insatiable wraiths. There stood Lucas, an echo of wounds still fresh, his eyes flashing with malice. You owe me, Grandma. You made a choice long ago, and now, it's time to pay that debt. Shut up. Grandma cried, the word ripping from her throat like a declaration. I am not defined by the chains of my past. I stand with my family. The air crackled with the intensity of her words, the darkness swirling, frustrated. With every heart pounding in harmony, their bond of love pushed back against the overwhelming shadows. The specters twisted and writhed, and in that moment, Grandma felt the power of their legacy channeling through her, a lifetime of sacrifices, joy, and love flooding her spirit with light. Together, they all shouted in tandem, voices rising as if part of a single heartbeat, reverberating through the room, breaking the curse cast by the shadows. "We are stronger together." The light exploded outward, hitting the dark forces with a brilliant flash, scattering the shadows into the corners of the room, forcing them back. Lucas howled in fury, and for the first time, his confidence fractured, revealing a flicker of doubt. "Leave us!" Grandma roared, each word infused with the collective strength of their family. "You will not silence us." That proclamation seemed to strike Lucas. He faltered, his form a swirling mass of shadow as he screamed in rage, "This isn't finished. I'll return, and you'll regret this moment." With one final defiant roar, the darkness churned violently until it vanished. The vacuum of silence pressed in, the shadows stripped away as the light settled gently around them. They were alive. The burden of fear gone, replaced now by a renewed sense of vigor and strength. Breathing heavily, Grandma pulled her family into a shaking embrace, warmth enveloping them like a safety blanket woven from love. "We did it," she murmured, her voice breaking with emotion. Everything had shifted. The shadows were repelled, but not without scars left behind. Together, Mike whispered, tears streaming down his cheeks, pure relief flooding through him. "We really did it." The warmth spread amongst them, sealing their bonds tighter. "I love you both," Grandma said softly, wiping her eyes. "More than you'll ever know. This was just a battle. One of many. But we will face everything that comes our way." The reality of their survival settled around them, leaving an aftertaste of bittersweet freedom, the air lighter now but still charged with the remembrance of the darkness they endured together. As they stood, united, Grandma realized embracing her past didn't mean letting it control her. It meant owning her truth and protecting the ones she loved, and as the last traces of shadow vanished into the corners of the room, Grandma knew that the real victory lay not just in defeat, but in the unwavering promise of hope within their hearts. The door behind them trembled, but this time, it wasn't fear that surged through the room, it was fierce resolve. Beyond any door that might come next, they would navigate whatever challenges lay ahead, their family bonds shining in brilliant defiance of the darkness. This was just the beginning of their story, and now, more than ever, they felt that familiar pull, the power of love unbroken. If you loved this journey with us, don't wait another moment. You need to subscribe now, so you won't miss the exclusive stories we'll explore together next. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread the love. Flood the comments section with your reactions and thoughts about this ending. It could make a difference in our next tale. And don't forget, share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a dose of hope. Together, we can keep the light shining bright. Let us